Appalachia's Mothman, the harbinger of tragedy. They pressed the pedal to the floor, the old Chevy roaring down that lonely stretch of road. Behind them, something vast and winged kept pace. No sound but the rush of air as it glided through the dark. Its eyes, red as fresh coals pulled from the hearth, bore down on them. Folks said it flew without flapping like a shadow loose from the earth itself. No matter how fast they drove, it was still there, watching, waiting. This ain't just a monster story. It's a tale of a town, a tragedy, and maybe, just maybe, a warning written in the ridges. Welcome to Legends from the Holler, where the ridges keep their shadows and the hollows still whisper forgotten tales. Here we explore Appalachian folklore, ghost stories, and mysteries that refuse to die. Light the lantern and step into the dark with me. In the bend of the Ohio, where it kisses the Kanawha, lies the quiet town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. For years, it was the sort of place where folks kept to themselves, river fog rising at dawn, life moving steady as the water. But come the mid-1960s, a shadow settled over that town, a fear that clung like mist on the mountain. It began in November of 1966. Two young couples, the Scarberries and the Millettes, drove out past the TNT plant, an old wartime munitions ground where weeds grew thick through broken concrete and rusted doors banged in the wind. That night, they saw it. A figure tall as a man, wings folded tight against his back and eyes glowing red in the dark. When it opened those wings and took to the air, it gave chase. They swore it soared at 100 miles an hour, smooth and silent, its shadow gliding overhead. By the time they skidded up to the sheriff's office, they was pale as moonlight, voices shaking, swearing they'd been hunted by something unholy. And they weren't the only ones. Soon, stories spread like wildfire. A man driving home said it swooped from a tree near made him wreck his car. A woman claimed it stood right on her porch, tall and still, those cold red eyes fixed on her as if it meant to follow her inside. Dogs went missing, radios crackled with static, and more than a few folks whispered they felt watched. Some called it a bird, some a demon, but the papers gave it a name that stuck, the Mothman. By the winter of '67, Point Pleasant lived under its shadow. Strange lights flickered in the skies above the ridges. Phone lines rang with silence on the other end, and men in dark suits, the men in black, locals called them, wandered town asking strange questions. It felt like the town had slipped sideways into another world, caught between fear and prophecy. And then came December 15. It was near Christmas, cold enough to freeze the river, when the Silver Bridge, the lifeline across the Ohio, gave way in the rush of evening traffic. Steel screamed, cars plunged into black water, and 46 souls never came home. Investigators later blamed a snapped eye bar, just a tiny crack in old steel. Nothing more than fatigue, they said. But folks in Point Pleasant shook their heads. Too much had led up to that day. Too many red eyes in the night. Too many warnings. For them, the Mothman wasn't a monster at all. It was a harbinger, an omen crying out in the only way it knew how, a shadow of the future, whispering that death was coming. Decades have rolled by, yet the story clings to Point Pleasant like ivy to brick. The old TNT ground still draws seekers with flashlights and recorders, and a festival honors the winged one each year. Scholars call it mass hysteria. Believers call it a prophecy. And down in the hollers, folks just say, it's bad luck to see them red eyes. So what was it? A flesh and blood creature? A spirit warning a tragedy? Or something stranger still from a place where time folds back on itself? That truth, friends, is lost in the ridges. You've been listening to Legends from the Holler. where whispers linger long after the lantern fades. If this tale held you, don't forget to subscribe and return to the ridge, for there are always more stories waiting in the dark.